Hello everyone and welcome to the stream. What a race we have just had, Jack. Unbelievable scene. So we've got a slightly different setup. So let me just explain. I've got a slightly different setup for today. So me and Jack, we're going to go through the race, obviously. But at this precise moment, we've got the drivers talking. I've got Oliver Turvey literally in my ears right now. So I'm like listening to him while talking. So we've had drivers talking to us in our ears. We've made notes about what they've been saying, and then we'll sort of tell you what they've been saying as we're hearing them. So there's a lot going on in mine and Jack's ears at the moment, so bear with us. So, but Jack, first and foremost, this race, Antonio Felix da Costa, 68-point advantage now, lead. Surely with 4 races left, he has got one hand on the championship.
I'm pretty sure that you've just nicked that from my report that from the report on the website that I've done. Yeah, no, this is basically the Costa.
This next question is from Peter from Inside Electric for Daniel.
68 points at the top of the table. I can't imagine it being overturned by that much. There's 120 points up on offer, so it's possible. But no, the domination that we've seen from Tony these last couple of days, it's just incredible. This is Antonio's championship, and everyone else is fighting for second.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Ed, I'm not allowed, unfortunately, I'm not allowed to show you what Turvey is saying right now, because I did ask for clarification from this from the FIA and from Formula E, and they said, no, it's mainly for just media people. We can hear Turvey. No way you can hear Turvey. I don't know how you can hear Turvey. I know how you can hear Turvey because it's going through my ears, so is that coming through? That should not be coming through.
Oh, shit, is it? Turn it off, I'll listen.
Right.
So Daniel, how do you look back at your first
Turvey's got a question.
You shouldn't be hearing Turvey. So if you're hearing Turvey, we can't. So I've got to try and make sure that's not being heard by you, because we're not allowed to do that. The Formula E asked. I did ask because we were asking if we could put up, you know, what the press conference, what we can see right now, and therefore feed that back to you. But they said no, that's not really what it's for, and I said that's a shame, but obviously I just smiled and said that's okay. So we'll go back to the show. I'll quickly listen to what good, at least Turvey stopped talking. I'm surprised that you could have heard it. But anyway, but who can stop Da Costa? If we think Da Costa, Jack, who do we think can stop him? Because at this precise moment, there's just no one, I think.
No, it's 68 points at the top of the table. I really don't see it happening at all. This is basically everyone fighting for second place, as I said. Yeah, no, his performances over the last couple of days have just been absolutely insane. I can't see it at all. I think we will have different winners. I'm still adamant that we're going to have different winners up until the end of Thursday, but yeah, I think yeah, this is Da Costa's championship, and I don't think there's much else we can do on it.
Let's think Jean-Eric Vergne then, because we want to hear what Jean-Eric Vergne has to say, and Tech Cheetah should be coming on a bit later, so we'll obviously talk in terms of, we'll talk about what he says and what Da Costa obviously has to say, because I think it's very interesting, because I think, honestly, Jack, Jean-Eric Vergne is crumbling. He is absolutely crumbling. I think the pressure is getting to him. He cannot beat Antonio Felix da Costa right now. And for some reason, he seems to be crumbling. He had absolutely no pace today.
Yeah, it's been a little bit. It's been really surprising that Jean-Eric Vergne has had this turn of form, because we have seen this like last season he had a stellar run to the end of the season. And now it's happening to his teammate. But yeah, no, Jev, it's like he hasn't got his head in the game. And so yeah, it's disappointing because I don't think he had. Hang on, how many points? There's 120 points on offer, which means that for the first time this season, we have people mathematically out of the running. So anyone who has 5 points or left is now mathematically out of the running to win the title. So I'm very sorry, Ed, but Ollie Turvey will not win the title this year. But yeah, no, I don't see anyone else but the Costa winning the title this year, and which is a surprise, especially for Jean-Eric Vergne, because Jean-Eric Vergne has been the force to be reckoned with. Like not even just the last 2 seasons, but at the end of season 3 as well. This has been like this whole run of form for Jev, and suddenly he's got Da Costa as a teammate, and we know that Da Costa's really quick. He is one of the few one of the many drivers who definitely deserved a Formula One seat that missed out. And so yeah, no, he thoroughly deserves to be that far ahead. Same with DS, but yeah, but yeah.
They're both talking at the moment, Jack. So I've just heard Da Costa. So Da Costa, he's basically thanking everybody. So obviously the powertrain's so good at the moment. You know, everything's coming together. But Vergne is talking at this precise moment. And what Vergne is saying, he's very disconsolate. I think that's the way you say
disconsolate.
That's the word. Good English right there. But he looks absolutely depressed. He's talking at the moment that he doesn't really understand like how this has got away from him. What he hasn't done with the car, and I think that's astonishing. And when we were talking about has this gotten to Jean-Eric Vergne, it feels like it has. It feels like it really has gotten to Jean-Eric Vergne. He can't beat, and he just can't, you know, he just cannot come out on top with Da Costa. And I think if we go back to Sam Bird and his relationship that we had with Sam Bird, and Sam Bird was beating him in that season 2 that he had at DS was horrible. Yeah. And I think when Jean-Eric Vergne gets a driver that is actually beating him, he seems to, you know, struggle. He likes to be on top, Jean-Eric Vergne, and that might be why maybe he also failed, hypothesizing, of course, why he also maybe failed in Formula One, because when you're up against drivers like Daniel Ricciardo, like Jean-Eric Vergne was, and if they're getting the better of him and he's starting to crumble, it's not good signs.
Well, yeah, with the Vergne, he has been easily the number one the last few years. When he was in Formula One, he went toe to toe with Ricciardo. I think actually in 2012, Vergne scored more points than Ricciardo. I think either that was 2013, but one of the 2 seasons he scored more. I think Vergne even Vergne even scored more than Danny Kvyat in 2014. So yeah, it's it is
It's confusing because I don't understand. Really. I don't understand how it's gone wrong. Let's look at his race today, okay? So now that, like, what was I going to say? So now that he's losing it, right? He's losing the battle. He knows he's 68 points behind, and I can see him crumbling, and that's just not what he wants to be doing. And his tyres went away in that race. Like, tyres are a huge issue. You know, De Grassi said that his tyres were shot when we just spoke to him. We'll get onto what De Grassi said later, but he said tyres played a huge factor, and Vergne saying that the tyres was gone. You know, he was holding down the 8th place, and then to lose it right at the end to Edoardo Mortara in a Venturi. A Venturi has no place overtaking a Tech Cheetah at this precise moment, nor does really any car. But the fact that he fell down from 8th place down to 10th, you know, lost Lotterer as well, also getting by. You know, it's just not good for Vergne at the moment.
No, Vergne cited tyre issues midway through the race, saying that his rears were gone, and so yeah, we have heard a lot of this the last couple of days that this reverse circuit is this reverse circuit is harder on the tyres than it is the other way around, which we'll probably find out more about on a Saturday and Sunday. But yeah, it's been I think it is very weird, because we've seen 2 what are supposed to be identical DS to Cheetahs, one right off in the distance and the other really struggling. I mean, Jev was running second for the majority of the race yesterday, and then fell back at the end. I assume that might have been tyre wear issues as well, and then he got the punt from Lucas Di Grassi as well. But yeah, I think there's more than just something's wrong with Jev. I hope that Jev can like regroup and then come back, and maybe he might find that the correct way around Berlin might suit him a lot better than going this round this reverse direction.
Yeah, I think so. Well, let's move on to Audi, because that's one team that has come up in the press conferences, and we can literally relay what they've said to you, what they said to the media and us back. But Lucas Di Grassi, oh my God! Like, first and foremost, where did that pace come? Obviously, to be quickest in practice, I was like, wow, because we've been saying, and even Jack said it in commentary, it's the worst, probably the worst Audi they've ever built. And somehow, Lucas Di Grassi, second in the Drivers' Championship, Audi are picking up points, and he said a really good thing, Di Grassi, is that we haven't been scoring big points. We haven't, but we've been scoring points every race, right? Where others have not been scoring, they've been scoring. So they've been fairly consistent. You could say consistently not great, but they have been consistent. And he said straight away, okay, that moving forward, it was the car setup. In terms of the major changes that they made, it was the car setup. And that is what happened in order for them to make the step forward that they did. Is that it was the improvements in car setup, a little bit of tweaks on the software, and boom, 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 here we go. We're now one of the fastest cars out there.
Yeah, no, DS, what they've done in this COVID break has been absolutely insane. Because we've just seen two absolutely dominant races. We saw Mitch dominate Mexico earlier in the year, and we thought that was really dominant. I think Tony's just blown them out the water now with these last two races, and DS Techeetah definitely the team to beat. But maybe the other way around, it might be a little bit more exciting on Saturday and Sunday.
I hope so, because that's the thing, right? So, and that's what they were saying in commentary. It's a different track now. We're going to a different track. For whatever reason, it may not suit the Costa. Whether it does or not, who knows? Okay, but with the pace he's on, he can afford to have one, maybe even two non-score finishes, and he'll still. That's the thing. He can have two non-scores. He can not score in the next two races and go into the final two races still in the championship lead. Obviously, a little bit closer, and he'll be a little bit more on edge. But I thought that was interesting.
Da Costa can skip the next. He can have the week off. He can come back next Wednesday, and he'll still be in the lead of the championship regardless.
Yeah, exactly. But Renaud Rast, obviously, he started last. There wasn't a reason, interestingly, for why he started in the pit lane, but he had a good finish, coming up to finish in P13. So he pretty much said, "I've got it here." He said it was just a quality result that was pretty bad. Like, he just got to work on qualifying, and I think that's the same with all the newcomers. Maybe bar one, but you could maybe say that newcomer in Alex Lynn isn't really a newcomer, but we'll get on to him soon. But he just said, the car's making good progress. He echoed what Di Grassi said in terms of they've made good setup changes, good, software little tweaks to help them find the pace, which is, I think, really interesting. And I suppose when we think about not races that aren't double headers, Jack, so if we go to a normal race, you don't get that time to understand, oh, this is where we went wrong today, right? Because that's it. You've had your race. If you've got it wrong that day, it's gone. And that's it. You have to move on and hope for the best next race. But then you go to a new race and it's completely different again in terms of trying to work out the setup and the software. So maybe as we go on, and obviously it's the reverse layout, so it's back to the traditional layout for for Saturday and Sunday. The teams might be going, we've got a lot of data around this track. We've seen what it's like in the reverse layout. It may be, you might have a friend there, Jack, in chat.
Yes, I do.
Hit the follow.
Hi, Chloe.
Is it Chloe?
Yes.
Hi, Chloe. Or Diamond Violence. Hit the follow button for Jack. He loves the follow button.
Did we hit 50 yesterday or not?
We haven't hit 50 yet, but we will hit 50 if your friend Chloe hits
Chloe, hit 50.
Hits the follow button. But what was I going to say? It's just, they've got the data going into that track, and then all of a sudden, okay, I blown away. Just to go back, I knew it wasn't for me. Lols.
This is the problem. You got two people called Jack on the stream. The thing is, I know that's Chloe's account. So yeah.
To see, it's nice to have friends coming into chat.
Yeah.
But as I was saying, like, they've got the data for that track, and then hopefully they can move on. Okay, they can move on, and they can actually catch Techeetah. And we saw it today. 6 attempts covered the field, covered the top 20. Okay, and how close could that be? There we go, Chloe.
So
thank you
good.
so much for the follow.
Hey, thank you,
So
Chloe.
that's 50. That's a huge announcement. That's a huge milestone for Formula E Zone on Twitch, not Twitter. Although we did hit a huge announcement on Twitter today. We did hit 6,000 followers on Twitter.
It's been a good day then. It's been a good day.
It's been a good day for announcements and Twitter and stuff. Ginger Jacks are my fave, so you got 2. So you're going to have to decide very quickly, Chloe, which one you prefer, okay? Because, come on, you got to share the love. But anyway, we've got to go back to Formula E.
The one that you don't like at all, or the one that you've lived with for 2 years?
Yes. Anyway, right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it could get closer, and Tech Cheetah could, find themselves having teams actually really rolling in that gap.
Yeah, even in we saw in qualifying there was a 4/10 gap between Buemi's time in Superpole and Antonio Felix Costa. But in the practice session it was unbelievably close. But that just proves how important qualifying is, and we've seen Antonio Felix da Costa's title rivals really struggle the last few days. I think the best placed one apart from Antonio in Group 1 today was Sam Bird in about 7th or 8th. Next one down, Gunther in 10th, and then it was and then the rest of them right near the back of the pack, and then Sims had his 20 place penalty. And so it just hasn't worked out for these. It just hasn't worked out for these drivers in qualifying. But yeah, I think they do need to. The thing is, in Formula E, you need to qualify well to actually race well as well. So, and the thing is, da Costa is just at 1 with this car at the moment. So yeah,
I agree. So moving on, so my next on my talking list had to be is Nissan and Sebastian Buemi. So he came on earlier and he said basically again, so and echoing what we were saying that it is the setup at the moment. He said that we had to look at the setup because in terms of the pace, where are we going to improve the pace? And they said it's only going to come from software and setup. But at the same time, he said Tech Cheetah are a step ahead still. Right, we can only close the gap, but he said at the same time, Tech Cheetah, he said, can still learn. So on the contrary of that, he said they can still learn, they can still make improvements going into the next couple of races. He said, and plus, he said also with the software and setup stuff, because it's a different, we're going back to the traditional layout. Yes, they have the knowledge from that from previous races, but they don't know how it affects their car. Yeah, until they go out for practice on Saturday.
Nissan were the surprise today. I didn't see that at all. I didn't see that coming at all from Sebastian Buemi. I thought he'd be there or thereabout, but I didn't expect him to top group qualifying, start on the front. I saw him on the front row and thought, oh, okay, maybe he'll get like a lower points finish. But no, Nissan and Buemi actually gave da Costa a good run for his money today. I think there were some points. I think Buemi almost took the lead when da Costa went for the attack mode zone. But yeah, no. But Buemi did fantastically well today, and so Roland, amazingly, hasn't been in Superpole. I didn't even clock that until someone put it in the Discord earlier on today. And so yeah, no, he's not having the best season either. So Nissan are getting there, and they're not the closest team to Cheetah at the moment. I think that is Mercedes, and then it's close between Envision Virgin and Nissan. But yeah, no, Nissan have really come on over this COVID break, and they could really challenge for second place, because obviously Tony's got that one sorted at the top of the table.
Yeah, and Buemi said that he did make a mistake. So in that race, there was a full course yellow section, and Buemi said, yes, I got too hard on the brakes. Right, and that allowed the Grassi to sort of catch up, and those behind him. So, yes, I think they have made a big step forward. And as I said, it's interesting that with the software tweaks and what the team, some teams didn't even leave the track till past midnight yesterday. So, Chris says, watch out for Gunther from Sims on Saturday. They're both in Group 2, so maybe we could see a BMW. We'll talk BMW very soon, Chris.
I've got notes on them.
You've got notes on BMW.
Because you couldn't listen to them because you were setting up the stream, so I had to
write some stuff down. And you've got the notes for BMW. Good. But where was I with Nissan? So, yeah, he said he was unlucky with the full course. Yellow, Buemi, but Roland. So Roland said his race was mainly tyres. He said he had a good start, and to be fair, he did have a good start. He was holding down, he was in that fight for fourth with Degrassi, with the freeze at the time. But he said the tyres started to get away from him, and that's when it started to just fall away from him. And a bit unfortunate, but but Berlin is one of those places where you've got to be critical on energy, you've got to manage your energy, and you've got to save your tyres at the same time, because as we saw with Vern, it can massively knock your race sideways. And for Roland, I suppose he was lucky. He managed to find the gap where he was all by himself. But still, I think a solid result from Roland, because yes, he just missed out, and only just missed out on that first Super Pole appearance by a couple of thousandths of a second. And he's had a decent race, obviously profited from Nick de Vries, which we'll talk about later, obviously retiring from the race and what happened there. But I thought overall for Roland it was a good solid race.
Yeah, no, he did have a very good result today. He's been there or thereabout. He did have a great start to the season in Diriyah. I think he got a 4th place in the first race, and then I think a 6th, and he was there or thereabout in the championship to start with, and then he started to fall away. Today's performance, though, I think was really good. Yesterday he had that penalty which sent him to the back of the field, but today was good for him, and he's not in the running for the championship, and Buemi in the race is a lot better than he is, but he's still right there. I think he said about the tyres, and yeah, we've spoken about this. Jev also had tyre issues, and there are lots of people who said that going the other way around created a lot more tyre issues. I think one of them would have been the turn 6 into turn 7 section, because it's very quick into the kink left, and then you're slowing down to go into the right, and so it's a lot tougher on the tyres going the other way around than it is going the way around that we will have on Saturday and Sunday.
And just to talk about, because Ed put up a massive point there with the Van Dorn's move on Roland and Bird, like that little kink that goes left and then onto the old where the first sector would be, instead of it going link and then kink right, which we'll see, that actually provided a lot of overtaken moves. And that move from Van Dorn, we might as well mention it now.
I was thinking it as well.
It was brilliantly, because he used the attack mode to perfection, side by side, and thought, I've got the extra power, I'm just going to send it, and he sent it, but he had the inside, and the other two had to just, to be fair, it was like a DRS move, to be honest with you, because by the braking zone, he was already past, but he just knew that, and he knew he would have the inside. So even if they was side by side, he'd still be the favourite for that corner. But it'd be up to the other two to decide if they wanted to have a crash or not.
Yeah, no, it was a fantastic move from Stoffel Van Dorn. He just got the best exit that he could out of turn 5, whilst the two Brits of Sam Bird and Ollie Rowland just squabbled. And then because of the extra power of attack mode, he could just sweep around the outside, and it was a fantastic move, and dare I say the move of the season so far. I think
it was a class move, and I think you could possibly call that. There's probably lots of good moves, and at this precise moment, our brains are pretty much fried with everything that's going on. Plus, their heat. Oh my God, the humidity in the United Kingdom at the moment.
I've got my fan on. I've got but I've got a windjammer, so you can't hear it. Unbelievable.
But like Ed's doing some great questions in chat. We invite you, if you have any more questions or any more thoughts, we'd love to hear your thoughts in chat. As I said, I know me and Jack are just chatting away and informing you of what's been said and what drivers are being said, and we've got lots to go through. But it makes it much more fun if you get involved, and if you've seen parts of the race, and just keep sending in questions, sending in what you think. And we'd love to obviously hear your thoughts on the race, your thoughts on the move. And if you think we're talking rubbish, we'd love you to let us know.
We always do, mate. We always do. But
we always do. So coming down, and let's talk Bird. Let's talk Virgin Racing. Because I'm going to put it out there. I think Bird and Freins, at the moment, are the best team that can challenge Tech Cheetah. Now, this is why I say this. Bird, obviously, good result. Podium. Last race. Robin Freins easily could have got podium today, was in the mix, was fighting for it. But in terms of a team championship, I think you've got two drivers there that are evenly matched. and either one of them on their day could potentially go for it. The other team I think that could be close is Mercedes as well, but I think maybe they're just, Van Dorn, as he says, as we'll get on to, he has to improve those qualifying performances. But at the moment, I think Virgin Racing are the closest team, because I think if you're looking at a driver lineup which is pretty strong, they've got one, and that car isn't too bad, and we've seen that the Audi can get close, and the Virgin Racing team with their Audi powertrain has been much better than the Audi anyway. So if Audi can make those improvements, I'm pretty sure Virgin can make those improvements and really, try and put some more pressure on Sekjita.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think my money was on Mercedes, but yeah, I think Mercedes overall are the second best car, but I think with Nick de Vries having his issue today, and I would just like to say, I thoroughly liked the fact that he got out the car and pushed it 90% of the way before the marshals got involved. I found that like a bit kind of like Nigel Mansell when he fainted in Phoenix, I think it was one year, or Dallas or somewhere like that. It was an American street circuit, I can't remember, but yeah, it's I think Envision Virgin, they do have a shot, and I think they could be BMW in the championship, but we will get on to BMW shortly because I'm under a lot of pressure on that one. But no, I think it is Mercedes and Virgin who are the two teams that can probably take it to Cheetah at the moment. I'm not sure whether it's the track surface, because the track surface is a lot different compared to where we usually go. It is usually tarmac that we race on the city streets. This place, I'm pretty sure it's concrete, but
yes, it is.
But yeah, it's but yeah, I think I'm not sure if
we don't know at this precise moment. When you're looking at the championship right now, who can stop the Costa? You got six, and everyone behind the Costa's taking points off each other. Like, anyone could have a good race. Look at Lollerer, ninth today, second yesterday. Like, so then all of a sudden someone's taking points out of him. Bird, third yesterday, down in like fifth today. And, people are taking points. We need someone, and we were hoping that would be Vern, because they're in the same car.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not Vern at the moment. Vern's title bid, I think, is over.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna look. Vern at the moment, he's 12th in the championship. He's dropped even further today, 32 points. So that means that he is, oh wow, that is 93 points behind his teammate.
With 120 available,
yes,
there's no way. Hey, Storm, by the way, in chat, lovely to see you.
Yeah, there's no chance whatsoever of Vern gaining that much. Especially in the same car.
He won't play the team game though. He's not gonna help the Costa win this championship.
Based on what we've heard the last couple of days, I agree with you. I think Vern is annoyed. Vern is annoyed. He was annoyed with them yesterday for not respecting the beeps was the thing. So that's basically where you lift off and then you go to braking, and just to save energy and stuff like that. That's what it means. And so yeah, no, Vern wasn't happy with Antonio for that. Because apparently he wasn't.
But that's really interesting, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
because if we go back to yesterday's race, Degrassi, if he wasn't observing the beeps, as Vern was saying, and wasn't listening to what the team was telling him to do, he still had more energy than Vern. That's why I find you'd assume he would have less energy if you're doing less lift and coast, right? And you'd get more regen, or less regen, sorry. So therefore you're using more energy. Therefore you'd expect the Costa to have a lower energy percentage, but he had a higher energy percentage. That's where I didn't understand. Well, if he was moaning on the radio, then the team must have been telling you, but he's got more energy than you. So he's just quick. And I think at that time he couldn't comprehend that he was quick, that the Costa was quicker, and I think that's really gotten to him. But yeah, I think his title bid is over. And let's talk about another team where I think their title bid is over. And we didn't really catch what Mitch Evans had to say, but I'm sure it wasn't great. But Jaguar, an abysmal qualifying performance, absolutely atrocious. From Mitch Evans, was the slowest in Group 1. That's not where you want a championship to be.
And it's slowest, but slowest by 7.5 tenths of a second against your nearest. And he was, at the time, Antonio Felix da Costa's nearest rival in the championship. To be 7 tenths down is not great. And then to insert something into injury. I forgot. Insult to injury. Oliver Turvey out-qualified him in the Neo, which we've seen as just being not a great car.
Oliver Turvey's in Group 4 compared to Group 1, but we're thinking Track Evolution's not playing that much of a part now, right?
Yeah.
And it should be less than what it was yesterday. So that just shows what a poor lap and where Jaguar. And I didn't really catch what Jaguar was saying. It was too low in my ears because obviously for some reason it's coming through, which it shouldn't be because Formula E said no. But James Collado looked fed up. You know, Mitch Evans looked fed up. Like, they came in thinking that they had a good chance. And in 2 races, it has just gone. It has just gone flat on their face. And it's just, I can't, and you can understand why James Collado, he's been booting out that team, and why he's going to go away for potentially these last 2 races and go and race in the wet, because what's the point? Because the car's just no good.
Yeah, Collado hasn't had the best season. This is 3 days after I said that he was the best rookie of the year for getting Nick de Vries. He's had a decent season. He picked up some points over the first few races, which is better than a lot of the rookies have done this year. But yeah, it's the qualifying's always been an issue for him. I don't think I've seen him qualify outside of the bottom 10, which is a massive shame, because we know that James Collado is a good driver. It's just that he hasn't been able to. He just hasn't been able to group it all together. And the fact that he's up against Mitch Evans, who is one of the best drivers in the championship. Yes, he hasn't scored a single point these last 2 days compared to Antonio Felix da Costa's 59, which is more than Mitch has scored the entire season. But yeah, it's But yeah, no, for James, it just hasn't worked. It just hasn't worked out well at all. And yes, we are fully expecting him to go to Spa for the final 2 races. And so, which means that Tom Blomqvist will be in that seat, and I think that second seat just won't get any points over the course until the end of the season.
Because, give James Collado a little bit of credit. He did have the grid penalty, broke down, didn't do any running yesterday, but he had today to try and get up to pace, but even then it didn't, he was still behind and massively down, and the race didn't really go much better for him. Mitch Evans finished in P12, didn't even, fight back, and you're just wondering, where has this pace gone? Where has this pace gone? Because going into Santiago, right, qualified P1, okay, yes, they lacked on race pace, which we're seeing again now. But then they made changes going into Mexico. And they were the best team, especially in the hands of Mitch Evans. They were the best team and killed his momentum. I think you're probably referring to Collado there, Ed, but maybe the pandemic killed Mitch's momentum.
Jaguar's momentum.
And Jaguar's momentum in itself, because they were the team that looked like, okay, they're going to challenge Tech Cheetah. This is what we're waiting for. We're waiting for Jaguar to come out and prove themselves. And they've just slipped and fell on their asses.
And currently, Bird's moving to a team that's a little bit worse than the car that he seems to be in right now. Obviously, a lot of the teams are going to create a new powertrain for next season and have that over the 2 years. And so yeah, obviously next season is just a completely different season. We might see Jaguar right at the front again, but right now it just seems like it's not going to happen at all. But we will have to find out. Then again, tracks in the other direction, and then the new section next week. They may all prove to be different.
They're going to have to look like Audi, right? They're going to have to try and find a setup tweak that says, this is where we're going to improve, lads. This is where we're going to, make the difference. This is where we've been going wrong. Okay, we've understood it. That's what they need desperately. And obviously we're going to a new track and maybe things might change for them. But I don't know. I just think, and if you're thinking, Sam Bird going there, Jaguar were on this real upward momentum. They were on this upward momentum as becoming probably the next best team, right? And the team that could challenge. Whereas, because, BMW seem to be stagnating or maybe going backwards, and we'll talk about them in 2 seconds. But I don't know with Jaguar. I think, Chris said a thing earlier that they should have kept with Lynn, and we'll get onto him soon because what a day he had in qualifying, and then we'll talk about the race pace. We haven't actually seen Mahindra come up yet. I may have missed Mahindra. Venturi talking now, but not really much happened in the Venturi, on the Venturi side of things.
I think Massa finished today, but I think that was basically it.
That was it. And Eduardo Mortara obviously picking up a couple points in the end with the fight with Jean-Eric Vergne. But BMW then, so you were listening to what BMW had to say.
Yes.
Maximilian Gunther, obviously, front wing got damaged. We believed I'll let you say that. And obviously, what happened to Sims as well with all the penalties, and what did he make of his race?
Well, yeah, the main thing that I focused on was the lack of performance. Because over the last couple of days, we've seen that BMW just haven't had that much performance over, and we've seen them towards the back of the grid in both races. And yeah, they didn't really say that it was like a massive. They didn't think it was a massive issue. They thought it was because of Group 1, and they said that they had a lot of pace in practice. It's just that they were struggling to put it into qualifying, and then from there into the race as well. And so it's these like little details, and they need to concentrate on these little details and try and move forward. Obviously we've got a different track. We've got the same track, just the other way around on Saturday and Sunday. That may help them because they will have data from last year, unlike from this race. But yeah, the BMW seem rather well. Obviously they've come away from these 2 races, I think, without scoring a single point at all, but they seem to be in rather good spirits ahead of this weekend and the following weekend.
Chris has gone for a bold statement, thinking that BMW will stop the Costa's win streak on Saturday. Honestly, Chris, I cannot see it. Sims did get a point, by the way, yesterday. Okay. He got 2, by the way, because he finished 9th. He finished 10th on the road book, then got 9. So they did pick up 2 points with Sims. Obviously, Gunther was disqualified yesterday. So it's just not been... And again, we're talking about Jaguar. We're talking about BMW. And these were the teams we were hoping for in these last 2 days to then go and challenge Tech Cheetah. And it just hasn't happened. And, Buemi said at the end of his little press conference, he said the championship's done. It's like Liverpool at the moment in terms of the Premier League. And Chris will be happy that I've said that. Because they were just, they ran away with it. He's absolutely ran away with it. And it needs a miracle for him to be caught. He can just coast a couple of points finishes. And, that's it. It'll be done. It could be done by the end of the weekend.
Yeah, it could be done by Sunday, and that would be the earliest that a championship has been decided. The earliest right now is the race before last, and that was Jean-Eric Vergne in season 4. Every other season, it has gone down to the wire, and 9 times out of 10 produced a brilliant final race of the season. I do think Da Costa will win the championship. I do think it will be done before the final day. I've got everything crossed, though, that it won't happen this weekend. I'm hoping that they take it to Wednesday. But Da Costa and DS, they just look unstoppable right now.
I'd agree. Obviously, we'd like it to go down to the final two races just to keep it interesting, just to keep the momentum of the championship going. But, Devil, he puts it in there and says, when do you think the Costa can wrap the championship up by? And I'm going to be honest with you. I reckon if he wins on 120 points left, if he wins,
he can win
points,
on Saturday. He can win on
Saturday. He could win it on Saturday.
He needs a 90-point difference. So basically, if the Costa wins on Saturday, then
and Degrassi, which you never know with the Degrassi with the little with the Audi, and we know it's not the best Audi, so he's in second.
If the Costa, so 68-point difference. I did well in maths, did terrible
in
English.
20, so it'd be 25 would put about 93.
That would make it 93. So. But
and then there'd be 9, but it depends on
the other points as well, the other 5 points.
Of course, it depends on the points, and obviously the point depends on where Degrassi finishes and where Evans finished. He could do it by Saturday. If the
Costa sweeps all the points on Saturday, Degrassi needs to be Degrassi and Van Dorn, they're tied on points. I'd like to point out they need to finish 5th or higher. Is my mental maths, because it's 8 points. And however, 8 points won't take it on win differences. So
one person could do that. One person could maybe push it to Sunday, but
But then they need to start.
But then you need the Costa. You need the Costa not to finish.
To the Costa, it needs to be under 60 points at the end of Sunday for it to be for it to go, and ideally it needs to be under 50. Otherwise. It could be done. It could be done after qualifying.
So to answer your question, it could be he could win. Imagine winning the championship on a qualifying point system. I don't think that's. I don't know. I was not in any racing championship I've ever seen.
I think they do give out too many points for qualifying. I think the group qualifying point.
But it's the same as F2, for example.
Yeah, no, they give out too many points for that as well. No, they should give out 2 points for pole, 1 point for the fastest lap. That's just me. I think 28 points should be fine.
I think they changed.
I think the group qualifying point is just stupid. And 29 points doesn't have a nice ring to it. 28 points has a great ring to it. So let's go with that instead.
Yeah, let's see. But the championship could be wrapped up easily by Saturday or Sunday at the latest. I don't think it will go into Wednesday, Thursday at this precise moment.
Hope.
But let's wrap up the show. We've got 2 teams that we want to talk about: Mahindra and Mercedes. We'll talk about Mahindra very quickly. Alex Lynn, what an absolute legend! He just comes out of nowhere, does these performances all the time. To get P3 in his second race at Mahindra, I put it in on Twitter. How did this driver not end up having a full-time seat in Formula E? Because on his day, and maybe that's the reason, maybe he's just a bit inconsistent, because on his day, he can be unstoppable.
I think he will have a full-time seat in Formula E in Season 7. I think that third place lap, two third place laps, I'd like to point out, where they were just so... It was just so good from Alex Lynn, and so I think that was enough for Dilbagh Gill to go, well done, you're in the seat for next year. But yeah, no, he did an absolutely sterling job. Yes, he fell down the order during the race and just missed out on a point in 11th, but I think he will still have the opportunity to still score points. But unfortunately for Dilbagh, Alex Lynn can no longer mathematically win the championship.
And this is what we're talking about with, I think, we've got Oliver Turvey in that Neo was probably hoping that Lynn had some bad results and proved that maybe he was a bit iffy. But I'm thinking at the moment that Lynn has probably got that Mahindra seat for especially what he's done already in 2 races. Why wouldn't they sign him? And then Turvey, you're looking again at the doors. Where's he going to go? He's probably going to have to stay at Neo unless he wants to go, which I don't think will benefit his career greatly if he went to somewhere like Venturi, for example. I honestly think, Lynn is probably going to sew up that seat, and Turvey's probably going to have to stay at Nia for another season if he doesn't want to, or he could leave Formula E altogether if he's that fed up. Yeah. Who knows?
And I think if they keep marching Quara at Neo, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Jay Penske signs Daniel Abt.
Potentially. I like that idea of that. I'm just trying to see at the moment if there's any post-race penalties, but nothing seems to have come up on the screen at the moment.
No penalties in the Formula E race?
Wow. Well, nothing yet. Nothing that's come up on my system.
That's the first time that's ever happened.
At the moment, that's what I'm sort of looking at, and if you can see the little mouse moving on the screen, that's what it is. I'm trying to see if there's any post-race penalties.
Yes, no, and I rewatched part of it last night, and I just saw something on my face. I thought it was a little bit of dirt on the screen. It was your cursor.
Yeah, it was my cursor. I don't know. It's just the way it goes with the window capture. Obviously, you being here and how we're doing it on Twitch that's what it is. It's not a little fly or a little thing, pixel damage on your screen. It's me moving. See, look, blah 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 blah. Anyway, I better stop doing that. It's probably annoying. I think Lynn needs to be more aggressive in the race. I think Mahindra's race pace. You're probably right, Chris, but he's probably a little bit race rusty as well. And this was a very clean race today. I do agree with you, Devil, as well. It was a very clean race today in terms of the hectic that we saw yesterday. Ed asked earlier, which he asked about the attack mode, and we said that attack mode yesterday, Jack, played a huge role in the race, and I think it played a huge role in today's race as well. And it allowed people to overtake. Degrassi did a fabulous job of holding off Robin Freins using attack mode and getting past him. That I thought was brilliant. So I really think attack mode has brought something unique and actually quite brilliant to Formula E.
Yeah, no, people don't like the idea of attack mode because they think they think it's just like a star from Mario Kart, because it is basically a glorified star from Mario Kart, but everyone gets an equal amount of them, and you need to do it strategically, and that's what I like about it, and that's what I think people don't understand. They just think it's just like some boost that they can do whenever. It's not, because you need to do it really strategically for it to work and for you to actually come out on top. And so that's why I really like the idea of attack mode, and that's the thing. It just works well, and fan boost. I mean, like we even saw today, Stoffel Van Dorn tried to use the fan boost on Robin Freins, and he couldn't get past Robin. So yeah, it's
I think attack mode has done an absolutely good job.
Attack mode, like over the last year and a half, has been brilliant. I think it's really spiced up the racing, and I think it's a good thing to have, and I think we need it, because especially when we were looking at the race yesterday, for example, it looked a bit boring, and attack mode spiced it up and caused attack mode, and with energy management, caused the epic finale that we had yesterday. What are the team doing tomorrow and Saturday to gain on the Costa? They'll be trying to just look at the setup and obviously look at what they've done in the simulations in the build up to the traditional layout, and then try and see if they can build a car, well, not build a car, but get a car set up ready to fight and see if they can get closer like they did today. Like, it was clear Nissan, Audi, Virgin all took a step closer today to Tech Cheetah, but Tech Cheetah was still out in front. So the last team to talk about is Mercedes, very quickly, just to wrap up the show. De Vries said he was not sure what caused his sort of brake failure. He said it might not have been a brake failure, it might have been something else that caused the brake to lock up. So they're investigating. Van Dorn says, I have to qualify better. I've got the race pace. And I think De Vries has shown, Jack. De Vries has shown that the Mercedes car, I said that Virgin Racing are probably the team. Mercedes aren't far off that bracket. I think if Van Dorn sorts out qualifying, maybe I'm changing that to Mercedes, because he's really struggled, Van Dorn, in Group 1. And maybe if he does, well, he's not going to fall out of Group 1 now. He's second in the championship, joint second with Degrassi. But he needs to improve in Group 1, and hopefully, Mercedes could make a charge and make these races interesting. Otherwise, because we don't really want Tech Cheetah to do a 6-race clean sweep. And yeah, if they do a 6-race, there are pluses to a 6-race clean sweep for Cheetah, and that is that I have to do a shoey. So not positive for me, but positive for all you guys watching, I guess. But yeah, I think the whole part of Formula E is that you go into a race like not knowing what's going to happen. But today we did kind of know that Costa was going to be there or thereabout, and then we just hoped that everyone would be closer, and they were closer. And so on the next track, which is same track all the way around, I think because all the teams have data from it, I think it will be a lot closer. I don't think Da Costa's going to win a fourth straight one. But if he does, and I'm sure you can answer this for me, Jack, because I don't know, would that be a thing?
That would be a record.
Yeah, record. No one's won
because
4 in a row.
The only person to have done that is Sebastian Buemi.
Yeah,
so he's
Buemi
matched Buemi in terms of winning 3 races back to back. 3 races in a row. Yeah. So if he does win on Saturday, then he'll make that 4, and he'll be going for it. And I think he'll be the favourite as well. I think practice 2 on Saturday when they go up to full quali power will be really interesting, and to see what happens there. But that is pretty much everything. All the drivers have stopped talking, so everything is sort of stuck.
It's very discomforting. Just like trying to speak and then just trying to listen to everything in your ear, in your ears as well.
So a different kind of show compared to yesterday's show. Yesterday was more straight us talking exactly what happened bit by race. But today was kind of what we wanted to give you, but we wanted to give it to you by you seeing it. And then we could have broke it down a little bit after they spoke and so forth. But Formula E said no, which is, they're entirely, right to do that, because, this stuff isn't for, like, I'm going to use this and then stream it to the world, if that makes sense. And so I fully understand, but it was worth an ask.
Well, yeah, but in future when we are at the races and able to bring you proper content from the races, we'll be able to conduct our own interviews and we'll be able to bring them because they're our own content. But
exactly. But at the moment,
now,
as I said, this is
in the UK,
in our bedrooms in the UK and not in Berlin, because they didn't invite any media, because we had big plans.
I would have gone.
Plans were to,
if they said
I would have gone as well.
If they said come,
I would have gone. I would have done the tests, because we would be right now. We'd be doing this in the pit lane somewhere, hoping that maybe by a lamppost where some light is, because it's getting dark right now. So the beauty of doing it at home is we've got all our lamps to keep the room bright.
I've nicked my brother's light box for the last 2 shows. I've just walked straight into his room, grabbed it, walked out again.
And there you go. So you can see us. That's the only sort of benefit, because if we were in the dark, or we'd probably have to do it in the media center somewhere.
Glorious high definition.
Exactly. And I obviously also then referring to Germany's 4G network to sort of keep the stream running. But we have unlimited data, so to be honest, but it was just how good the strength was to keep the stream running, whereas us home it's a bit more easier to keep going. But that is pretty much the race recap. As I said, not really much happened for Porsche, and I didn't really hear what they had to say, but it wasn't nothing really to say. 9th place for Lotterer. Neil Yarny, just nothing again, so he's just seeing out his races before he leaves the sport, and hopefully Pascal Wehrlein comes in season 7. So thank you so much for watching. We're not going to stop though. We might say bye to Jack though, but Jack maybe can stay on Discord. Maybe he can pop in Discord, and maybe we can do some stream races, because stream races have been absolutely huge, and I've absolutely loved doing stream races, and we're building the community that way, and I think that would be a cool way to just have some fun, because you've just listened to me and Jack talk for an hour.
Yeah,
so
it's a bit boring, isn't
maybe
it?
maybe we should have some fun, but please let me know. I'll probably have to edit this bit out of the little YouTube live stream. So
it's okay, that's easy to do.
For the YouTube content. Yeah, it'll be fine. We'll just stop early, isn't it? But thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of it, because it was slightly different to yesterday's. Yesterday was more me, Jack, just directly talking about what happened, and you guys chatted. If you liked finding out what the drivers said, then fine. We'll continue telling you what the drivers said as much as we can. But thank you so much. So I'm going to switch.
Before we properly go, news from Berlin. We've got a penalty thanks to the race, because that's how I found out. Nick de Vries has been fined €5,000 and given a 5-place grid drop for Saturday's race, but for getting out of his car and pushing it to a safe location. So, yeah,
Well spotted, because I've just checked the documentations and there is a decision, my bad, 31. Decision 31, Nick de Vries, here it is. Pushing the car on track, not allowed, so there's confirmation of that. Anything else, again, Nick de Vries, so that's added to his penalty.
I agree with Chat, I think that's a bit harsh.
Jerome D'Ambrosio,
give him a fine, but
two,
grid penalty, nah.
Jerome D'Ambrosio actually has been disqualified from the race as well. So Jerome D'Ambrosio has been disqualified from the race. The total energy used was over maximum 50 kilowatts an hour. So he has been disqualified from the race. The race classification has just come out. So
is it confirmed?
It has been things.
Is it confirmed?
It is confirmed. D'Ambrosio is the only driver disqualified from the race, but as you said, didn't finish in the points, so it didn't really affect much. And yeah. The standings, the complete standings are up as well. So the Costa has 125 points, and Lucas Di Grassi is on 57. It's just when you say you can't.
It's when not if. It's when not if now.
It's Liverpool Man City, Chris. That's what it is. It's Liverpool Man City, and we're just waiting for him to be crowned champion.